Malik adjusted his tie one last time, palms sweating as he reached into the inside pocket of his blazer. The velvet ring box felt heavier than it should have. 3 months of savings, 4 revisions, a design that honored his mother's favorite, gemstone merled, because Erin once said she loved vintage touches. He proposed under the cherry blossoms at Prospect Park, where they'd had their second date. The evening air was soft, full of possibility. Erin blinked, laughed softly, and said yes, but the smile didn't quite reach her eyes. She hugged him quickly, then looked down at the ring. "It's ... sweet," she said, twisting it on her finger. "Smaller than I imagined, but very you." Malik chuckled, but something in him tightened. That night, she said she was going out with the girls to celebrate. "You're not coming," she added. "No boys allowed, fiancé or not." She kissed him on the cheek, tossed her heels in a tote, and vanished into the city. Malik stayed in, poured a glass of wine, scrolled through proposal hashtags, heart quietly full, until his phone buzzed. "Incoming call, Erin," he answered, but no one spoke, just background noise. Then laughter, a voice hers, half drunk and carefree. "I mean, it's not what I pictured. I thought my husband would be, I don't know, someone ... different. Not Malik." Someone else laughed. "The ring, oh God, girl, it's cute. Like Etsy cute." The call cut out. Malik sat frozen, the phone still at his ear, pulse hammering. He stared into the dark apartment, the air suddenly cold. The words echoed not loud, but clear. Not what I pictured. He didn't throw the phone, didn't cry, just sat, silent, still. His name, his effort, his love all reduced to Etsy, cute. And beneath her politeness, a quiet message had been delivered. She had said yes to the ring, but not to the man who gave it. Asterisk, asterisk, Malik didn't sleep. The accidental voicemail looped in his head like a cruel chorus. He tried convincing himself. It was just nerves, just drunken rambling. But the words had come to Isley, to rehearsed ... not Malik. By sunrise, the weight of doubt pressed heavy on his chest. He opened a note on his phone and started typing phrases he remembered, trying to make sense of how the woman he loved had said so little, yet revealed so much. He remembered the first time Erin introduced him to her friends. One of them giggled. "You're in your ambition era, huh, Malik? We love that." She said it like he was a self-help project, not a partner. He remembered her father's tight smile during dinner, and how he'd leaned in later and said, "You speak very well. What do your parents do again?" He'd brushed all of it aside. For love, for her now, it echoed. When Erin returned the next morning, sunglasses over her eyes and a pastry in hand, she greeted him with a chirpy, morning fiancée, as if nothing had happened. He watched her set the bag on the counter. "I got a call from you last night," he said quietly. She paused. "Huh, you but dialed me." She went still, then slowly turned. "Okay. I heard what you said, Erin, about the ring. About me not being what you pictured." She blinked. "Oh my God, Malik. I was tipsy. I didn't mean any of that. You're taking it way too seriously. Was it a joke, or was it how you really feel?" "I love you," she replied, voice flat, arms crossed. "I said yes, didn't I? But did you say yes to me, or to some version that fits better in your world?" She looked away. "I think you're overthinking this." He nodded, slowly. "Maybe." She walked off, phone in hand, mumbling something about brunch plans. Malik sat down at the table. The pastry box was still warm. Croissant flakes dotted the counter like confetti from a celebration that never really happened. He didn't shout, didn't cry, but for the first time, he wondered if love without respect was just convenience in disguise. Asterisk, asterisk, Malik adjusted his cufflinks, already regretting. The evening. Erin had insisted it was just dinner with her family, nothing intense. She'd called it a chance to reset the energy. He had nodded, not because he believed it, but because he was tired of circling the same emotional drain. The dining room was gleaming white linens, crystal glasses, a quiet string quartet humming from invisible speakers. The guests were Erin's extended family and a few family friends, each one whiter and wealthier than the last. Malik smiled, listened, waited for the questions he always got. They didn't disappoint. "So Malik," her uncle said, leaning forward, with the grin of someone about to compliment a child's drawing, "where'd you grow up again?" "Brooklyn, right. But which part?" he asked, tone sharpening slightly. "You know, I used to volunteer in Bed-Stuy. Those were some rough kids." Malik replied with polite disinterest, but the air shifted. Later, another relative raised a glass to Erin's great taste in men, then added, "Remember David, Erin's ex? That boy was a mess, total frat bro. Malik's a class act, a real step up." The table chuckled. Malik didn't. And when it came time for a group photo, someone called out, "Malik, could you take it? You've got those photographer hands." He was already reaching for the phone before he realized what just happened. Erin said nothing, didn't even look his way. After dessert, Malik slipped out onto the balcony. The night was cool. Below, the city blinked like a stranger trying to catch his attention. Behind him, laughter spilled through the glass doors. He placed his palms on the railing, steadying himself. In that moment, he didn't feel angry, just erased, not hated, not harmed, just invisible in a room full of polished silverware and smiling mouths that didn't see the man, only the good-and-paper image. He looked through the window at Erin laughing, sipping wine, playing the part, and in his chest, something small and necessary began to close. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. The morning after the dinner, Malik took the Q train to Flatbush. He didn't call ahead. Rashida never needed notice. Her door was always open, her couch always warm, and her mind always sharper than comfort allowed. She found him on the stoop, quiet. "Tea or truth first?" she asked, unlocking the door. "Both," he said. Inside, incense curled in the corners. Protest flyers covered the walls beside framed photos her leading marches, handing out school supplies, holding her daughter tight. Malik hadn't realized how much he missed being seen until he sat across from someone who actually did. He told her everything. Erin's butt dial, the ring, the photo incident, her silence. Rashida didn't interrupt, just listened, eyes heavy, but kind. Then she leaned forward. "Malik," she said softly, "why are you fighting for someone who won't fight for you?" He didn't answer. "You're not broken, cousin. You're not the one who needs fixing to fit in her life. You're bending yourself backward to be safe enough to love." He looked down. "Since when do you shrink to make someone else comfortable?" The silence between them wasn't empty, it was full of history, of expectation, of love that didn't ask him to edit himself. Later that night, back in his apartment, Malik went searching through old boxes, beneath college notebooks and yellowed news clippings. He found it a faded photo of his father, grease on his overalls, standing tall outside the factory gates. He could still hear the voice. Never apologize for being a man who stands up straight. Malik, they'll try to bend you. Don't let them. He held the photo for a long time, and for the first time in weeks, he breathed without armor. Erin wanted a black man she could explain, one who fit her world like a novelty, not a truth. But Malik knew now he wasn't built to be palatable. He was built to be real. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Malik stood in the gallery's back hallway, adjusting the mic for the opening speech. The exhibit was the culmination of months of community work, black artists reclaiming space through color, form, and language. It was called Unedited. He had curated it not just for visibility, but for truth as the crowd began to gather. Erin arrived late. She kissed him lightly on the cheek. "This place is rustic," she murmured, glancing at the exposed brick and folding chairs. "You worked hard, though. I'm proud." Malik forced a smile. Inside, the air was alive. Paintings that pulsed with ancestral grief. Spoken word performances that carried thunder. A photograph of a black boy in a hoodie, surrounded by words like target and threat, projected onto a canvas dot. Malik scanned the room. People stood still, affected. But Erin fidgeted, her arms crossed, eyes scanning her phone. During the closing piece, a gut-wrenching monologue about growing up being told you're too loud, too angry. Malik glanced at Erin. She whispered, "I just don't relate to this kind of anger." He stared at her. She wasn't offended. She was bored. After the applause, they walked out into the crisp evening air. She looped her arm through his. "Babe, the lighting was kinda harsh, but you really pulled it off." He stopped walking. "You didn't hear a word, did you?" She blinked. "I was there, Malik. I showed up." He nodded. "You were in the room, yeah, but you've never really been in it with me." "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means," he said slowly, "I think you were in love with the idea of me, but not with my world, not with me." A pause. Just long enough for silence to say the rest. He reached into his coat pocket, took off the ring she'd returned, and placed it gently in her hand. No anger, no scene, just done. She stared at him, stunned. Malik turned and walked back into the gallery, the door closing softly behind him like punctuation on a sentence he had finally finished writing. 3 months had passed since the gallery night, since Malik had walked away from a future that no longer fit. There were no dramatic posts, no grand explanations, just silence, the kind that builds, not breaks. Now he stood backstage at the Brooklyn Arts Collective, gripping a mic and scanning the crowd. The auditorium buzzed. Artists, students, activists, and educators packed every seat. A panel on race, identity, and creative power was about to begin. Malik wasn't just a guest. He was the closer. His exhibit, Unedited, had exploded across the city, picked up by schools, public libraries, and even a national non-profit. The same design language he once questioned was now the foundation of a storytelling collective for young black artists. When the moderator called his name, Malik stepped into the light. He looked out into a sea of faces, some brown, some pale, some hopeful, some worn. But every eye was listening. He began, voice steady. "I proposed once, not just to a woman, but to a life. One where being palatable mattered more than being whole." A few heads nodded. He continued. "That proposal was laughed at, trashed, even. But I've learned something since. Love without respect isn't love. It's performance. It's decoration. It's erasure wearing perfume." The audience was still then erupted in applause. He closed with, "Our stories are not too angry. Our voices are not too loud. They are necessary, and they will no longer be edited." Later, in the reception hall, a young woman approached him, maybe 19, bright eyes, sketchbook in hand. "Mr. Bryant," she asked, nervous but determined. "Yeah, I want to tell stories like yours. Real ones, ones that scare people a little." He smiled. "Then don't wait for permission. Start with your name. That's your first story." She beamed as the night wore on. Malik stood near a large print from unedited, a photo of his late father, standing tall in oil-stained overalls. Beneath it, a plaque read, "Never apologize for standing up straight." He looked at the image, not with grief, but with pride. He didn't lose a fiancée. He found himself. And this movement, this voice, this legacy was louder than any diamond ever could be.